It's Saturday morning, it's 9 a.m. It's time for another Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this!
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Yeah, hey, it is Saturday morning. Welcome, people. I bet you're all very, very excited because it's Coronation Day. Yes, later today, King Charles will be coronated. Is that right? This is coronation. Anyway, so I'm sure you've all got the bunting up outside your house. You've all got your flags to wave, and you're probably all heading off to the centre of town to sit in a very big crowd. But until then, you can sit back and enjoy a little bit of a Monster Magic Reviews. Yes, we've got some really good stuff. I'm very excited about today's show, so I hope you enjoy it. And first up, we're going to do Split Decision. And first up, we've got Split Prediction by Anthony Stan and Massimo Cascione. Yes, this trick is it feels like an amalgamation of a few other effects. Basically it's a card trick. You have two cards selected, and you then find one card. And obviously, because I'll tell you what. So it's the Queen of Hearts and the Six of Clubs. You've got the Queen of Clubs. You go, one's a Queen, one's a Club. Therefore, I found both your cards. A little bit of a groan. It's sort of it's almost a magical moment, but it's quite a fun moment. That's one of those things where I quite like trying to convince people that you've actually performed a miracle, and they sort of stare at you unsure. So I like that bit. Do like that bit. You then pull the Queen of Clubs, and it turns into half. You've got half a Six of Clubs and half a Queen of Hearts, which is both their cards. Very visual. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. You then put those pieces in their hands. They close their hands, open their hands, and they've got a card, a folded card that is half Queen of Hearts, half Six of Clubs. Nice, visual, quirky routine. It's easy to do. There's possibly the hardest bit would be a switch with the sort of switchy bit, but that's done. It's very similar to David Williamson's Torn and Restored Transpo, if you know that. It's easy. It's done on offbeat. It's they're holding out their hands. The drawbacks for me are it feels quite Anniversary Waltz, but the cards aren't signed. They're not much of a giveaway. You only get, I think you get 5 or 6 of the actual gimmick cards, the half cards in here. So you're probably not going to be wanting to give them away at the moment. You can get refills apparently. I don't think they're available only via Magic Smile Productions, I think, at the moment. But again, it's not really a souvenir thing to give away because it hasn't been personalized in any way, so it kind of falls down a little bit on that for me. I love the pulling the card apart is nice, and it's easy to do, and the gimmick that comes with it as is it's pretty much indestructible. There's nothing to snap, shall we say, or anything like that. So it does, it will hold up, which is great. He does teach a method if you're not happy with letting the laws of nature do it for you. He does teach you how to make a slightly different gimmick, but that gimmick would be vulnerable. But obviously, you know how to make it, so you can repair it. And I also like the restoration of it becoming 2 again. So you've got a lot of magic. There is a lot of magic. I just wish the cards could be signed, but that again would probably lead to an absolute nightmare. So for me, I'm not sure if I prefer it to doing a standard Anniversary Waltz, which again, I do think Anniversary Waltz, as Doc Easton said, it's probably the greatest card trick ever invented. It's a lot of bang for your buck, but this is more visual. Aye, Anniversary Waltz, best card trick ever, hands down. Well, that ambitious card, that's a goodie though. Yeah, Triumph by Di Vernon, I like that. And Oil and Water, very nice plot is Oil and Water. Point of Departure by Alex Elmsley, that's nice. Card to Cross, Card to Pocket. So it sort of defies physics in a different way. So I do like it. I'm not sure. I suppose what I'm saying is it's good. It is definitely good. So I'm not loving it. I'm not really excited by it, but it is really good. So it's one of those sort of 75-80% things, but it isn't very expensive. It's only it's £27.99. It's easy to do. You get that really nice visual. Angle wise, obviously you don't want anyone seeing the prediction card from behind. So essentially you've got a sort of 180-degree angle, which isn't a big deal. You could probably do it closer to your chest if you really wanted to cut that down. But for me, 180 and anything other than that, the people probably aren't really watching the magic trick, are they? They're doing something else. The tutorial is very clear. He also runs through several different alternative handlings and a nice cleanup as well. So they've covered all of the bases for if you did want to do this with perhaps grabby people like friends and family.
Here now, when he says your family members might be grabby, I think he means they want to play with your props, not fiddle with your...
Or if you wanted to do it as part of a professional set, walking around. So the tutorial was really good as well. And so, yeah, so I like it. Maybe I just need to try it. Maybe it's one of those tricks. I just need to see the reactions and see how powerful it really is. But it's certainly a very good release. So there you go. Split Prediction by Anthony Stan and Massimo Cascione.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
And I must, before I forget, mention that we have back in stock Laced Up. Yep, this was a massive seller, sold out at Blackpool, sold out just about worldwide. Penguin have been struggling, it seems, to get it back in stock. It is now back. It is by Donovan Mount. It is a ring on your shoelace. The knot transposes backwards and forwards. If you haven't seen it already, you really have missed out. It's an everyday carry because you can keep it on your shoes. Basically, your laces are tied up, so you're absolutely fine to walk around with this ready to go. And sticking on the Penguin theme, we have the Penguin's latest release, Impossible Escape by Patricio Teran. This is really interesting because it's a bit like a puzzle almost more than a magic trick, in that you have these two cards. Let me get them out. You have these two cards and you interlock them. They've obviously got a hole in the middle. And through that hole, you stick one of these little... I'm not quite sure what these tacks are called. They do say on the tutorial, but I've forgotten. And you stick one of these through the middle. You boop. And you bend it up. And you can then still slide. You can show the spectator can have a little tug at these, and then you can slide it out. It's great. There's nothing really that gimmicky about it. So everything can be pretty much examined before and after. And I think that's really nice. The fact that there's essentially no sort of proper gimmick as such makes me really like it. There is it's not a move as such, but there is a method which isn't difficult to do, and it's very clean. It's very clean. I love the fact that the other person, the spectators, can have a tug to make sure it's all still very firmly fixed, and you can just sort of click your fingers, make a magical gesture, and they pull apart. So I do really like. I haven't done it on anyone yet, which is the real litmus test, but I have got one. I have been playing around with it. It does work. I can see it really blowing people's minds. When I watched the trailer, it does look sort of visually almost like the cards are melting, or the pin through the tack through the middle is melting, or something. It does look magical. These cards are made. They're not playing cards. They're sort of sturdier than that. Just put these in your wallet with one of these tacks. And you're good to go. And I think it's a really nice thing. It'd probably pay for all ages. The tutorials done by a guy called Cash. It's pretty thorough. It kind of explains it quite clearly, but there's not much to it. It's certainly easy to do. just come up with a little bit of a fun presentation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it out. I like things that are sort of this simple, and I'm guessing people are going to think I really should be able to find something, or really should be able to see the secret. And there's absolutely nothing to do, nothing to see. And once you've performed it, and that clip is around that card, there's no solution to find. So at the end, you are absolutely completely clean. And that's great. So that's it. That's Impossible Escape by Patricio Teran, and it is just $17.99. Now, the next trick I'm going to talk about is Brass Buttons by Matthew Wright and Mark Southworth. I'm sure most of you will know that Mark Southworth sadly passed away earlier this year in the middle of this project, leaving Matt to finish the project on his own, which must have been a hard emotional journey for him. And also in tribute to Mark, I guess, Matthew got in touch with some of Mark's friends and people he's known, and they helped Matthew with this project, certainly with the tutorial and the teaching. And that is absolutely lovely. And what Matthew was really trying to do was to finish this project as he and Mark both intended, and to do Mark proud. And I think, well done, Matthew, because you most certainly have made an incredible product, something that you should be proud of, and I'm sure Mark would be, and also everyone who appears in the tutorial should also be really proud. So yes, here it is. It's Brass Buttons by Matthew Wright and Mark Southworth. Yes, this is a project that Mark and Matthew have been working on for a long time, and they had a vision of what is essentially a copper, silver, brass set that gets away with that Mexican centavo and that rather naff looking Chinese coin, and brings it to life, really. You've got three objects here that aren't coins, and with currency dying out, maybe that isn't such a bad thing. But also what they've done is, by doing it in these three objects, they've made it visually better. It just pops much more. The colours are stronger. The contrast between each object is that little bit bigger, which is great. It's not necessary. If you've got a copper, silver, brass set, I'm sure you've been doing it for a long time, and it is a brilliant set to have, and it is a brilliant trick. If you're not familiar with copper, silver, brass, basically it's a gimmick that lets you do some very, very powerful coin magic that is self-working, more or less. It gets a bit slagged off, does copper, silver, brass, because of the standard presentation, which has gone out of favour. But what happens is basically you show three coins in the copper, silver, brass set, and they're all different. You'd have a silver coin, a copper coin, and a Chinese coin, which has got a hole in the middle, which adds to a bit of deception. You would then remove one, and say you remove the silver one, you put that in your pocket, you say, what's left in my hand? They would say the copper coin and the Chinese coin. Open your hand to reveal that you've actually got the silver coin, and the other two coins are now in your pocket, and that goes backwards and forwards. The reason it's fallen out of favour in this great modern world of ours is because you're making the person, your spectator, is often wrong. You're going, no, you're wrong. It's not. I've got this in my hand. You got it wrong. And people have found on that. I don't think that's such a bad presentation, to be honest with you. It can be presented badly, yes, but pattern-wise, that's absolutely fine. You can put the hand on the shoulder to console them. You can really make something out of it. You can go, like, I know I got it wrong when I did it too, but it's the way it is because it's magic. You can do lots to ease that moment. But that's copper, silver, brass, and the transposition is strong because one of the coins has got a hole in it, one of them's copper and one of them's silver. This is just bringing it bang up. This is on steroids, yes. So let me show you the different coins that you get. So you see, this is it. So this is the button, which is obviously why it's called Brass Buttons. It's blue, which is a big contrast to the other two objects. and it's got 4 holes in it. It is metal. These are all metal, well made. I'm guessing Matt and Mark had them cast specially for this, and that is a nice button. Now I've dropped this button quite a bit, shamefully, and it is absolutely fine. I'm not sure if it's paint or it's coated in something, but it's certainly a thick layer, and it hasn't chipped, damaged or scratched in any way despite being dropped. You then have this washer that we're calling it. This washer is probably a good 3 or 4 millimeters thick. I reckon it's a 4 millimeter thick, nice heavy washer with a hole, genuine hole in the middle, and it's painted to look like it's rusty. It isn't actually rusty, and I think once I've been using this for a little while, my nice corrosive sweat on my fingertips will give this a much nicer patina, and it will age great. And Matt actually says in the tutorial that when this gets a little bit battered, it just adds to the whole effect. And then you get this poker chip, this poker champion. It's actually a card guard, as Matthew says. You're meant to put this on your cards when they're on the table, so the dealer knows that you haven't folded. But I mean, a lot of people will call it a poker medal, a champion winning chip, whatever you want. And that is, again, this is one of those nice little things about this routine with the copper, silver, brass. Yeah, you can talk about how you traveled to China, how you traveled to Mexico for the centavo, or whatever you want. And you have got a hook there. I think this is just more colourful, more glamorous, more interesting objects to look at. And in a lot of routines that are taught, these do get shown to the spectator to start off with, for them to have their little bit of interest piqued. Certainly Matt talks about Mark's poker playing and so like that, which is lovely. But you can come up with your own patter for all of this, of course. But obviously you could talk about being a gambler, a washer, you know, and a button. So you've got some lovely objects. You can make up your own tall tales as to where they come from, and they are nice, solid, really well made props. This just oozes I don't know, expensive. This is like you're handling a Porsche or a Rolls Royce, but actually you're paying under £35 for this set. You try getting a copper, silver, brass set for £35 that's any good at all, you'll be very hard pushed, if not impossible. And this feels better because of the weight. It feels much less flimsy than a copper, silver, brass set does. I love these props. I really do. I think this is, I'm sure this, you know, when Matt and Mark were putting this together, this is exactly what they wanted. And you can see the contrast. So when these transpose places, it's very, very strong. And of course the 4 holes as opposed to just the 1 hole and 2 things having the holes really does add to the mystery. This is the gimmick, obviously, as you can see, and it matches very nicely the other chip. So that's what you get. And then you have the tutorial. Now the tutorial is 2 hours 15 minutes long, plus a little bit of change. You start off with Matthew talking about his trick, and his trick has got the button explosion ending, and that is the bit on the trailer that I think piqued everyone's interest. It's not included, the buttons aren't included, or the buttons and the washer mix that Matt uses for that ending aren't included, but it's very easy to get hold of. You just go and buy some blue buttons, get on Amazon, go to your John Lewis, whatever you want to do, and you'll get them very easily, very cheaply. It is a very nice visual ending to a copper, silver, brass routine, and highly recommended. But that's not all you get in Matt's routine. So Matt's routine actually starts off with a bit of a spellbound, and I love the way Matt talks. He does this on other of his other projects that he does, in that he teaches you spellbound, he shows you the classic way of doing it, and then he says, but you know, I've never really liked it like that. I've always found it a bit awkward for one reason or another, so I do it like this. And usually it's an improvement, but it also, that teaches you how you should really approach your magic. If you're reading something in a book, or you're watching something on a DVD, and going, oh, I'm not really happy about that, or I'd rather use a different finger, or I'm not happy with the angles, you can change it. And that is a really good bit of teaching by Matt to go, yeah, so I do it like this. So his spellbound, his little spellbound routine, I think does cover the angles better than a traditional spellbound routine. And I do Charming Chinese Challenge, and I think I might incorporate Matt's little twist on the spellbound routine in that. So that's a great way of thinking, you know, making sure that if you're not 100% happy with something, keep trying something else. You can develop, and you becomes a better magician. Maybe that's why Matt is so good. So he starts off with spellbound. He then does the copper, silver, brass, and that his brass buttons, which is it's quite a standard copper, silver, brass, shall we say. It's got a nice in the hands moment as well, and he teaches how he does the in the hands moment. Some people get them to hold a fist and sort of go in the end, and he says he doesn't like that, and he teaches a slightly different way of him doing it. Again, brilliant teaching. It's a terrific routine. I mean, copper, silver, brass has been around for so long. I think magicians pass it over now, certainly perhaps some of the younger magicians. And so I'm really pleased that this is coming back, because it's easy and it is powerful magic. One thing I will say about this set is, obviously, because the button has the 4 holes in it, there is an alignment more required than, you know, with your standard copper, silver, brass that requires none. And Matt talks about how to get around that, how to do it, and I've been playing with it, and I haven't really found, I think more often than not it's not an issue at all, because you'll be surprised, because there are 4 holes, you're actually pretty close to always being bang on. So sometimes, most of the time, it's not an issue at all. Sometimes a little micro adjustment is needed, but he also teaches a way of knowing that they are exactly in the right position as well, which is great. So it's terrific, easy to do routine by Matt with that button explosion. Is superb. And then, oh my word, you have Will Houston. Now, Will Houston, I don't know what it is. I don't know how he does it, but Matt has enlisted him to help with some of the teachings of some of the moves and some of the subtleties, and also some routines. And Will is such a good teacher. He is remarkable. The clarity with which he explains everything he does is you know, transcends belief. And some of the things are, you know, they're knacky things, but you get them almost first time, because you sort of go, okay, do like that, like that. Every detail that you need is there, thanks to Will. And what Will teaches is dynamite stuff. He teaches a lovely spellbound routine with like triple changes. He teaches some subtleties of how to sort of show both sides of the gimmick, and the other coins, the other objects, which is really good stuff. Teaches some sort of visual one-hand changes, which are great. And he teaches 2 different matrix, which I think is something that Mark was very keen to be on the project. And he teaches a sort of through the table transposition. So if you were thinking about buying this set, but you go, I've got a copper, silver, brass, what's the difference? You could do what is taught on this project with your copper, silver, brass set. It probably wouldn't be quite as visual, but you could do it. But the point is, this tutorial is amazing already. You've got things that I didn't think possible. Lovely displays, subtleties, visual changes that I hadn't considered doing with a copper, silver, brass set. And I've got the world's greatest magic copper, silver, brass thing, and those routines are more similar than these. You've got a massive variety already, and you've only seen Matt and Will. It's terrific. You then have Craig Petty next, who does a trick with using quiver. Now, quiver has become the thing in coin magic for sure, and it kind of replaces a pocket. It's a bit like putting your pocket on the table, but also you can visually show that it's empty, or you can tip coins out of it, which is great. But if you haven't got a quiver, I suggest just using your pocket. Slightly diminishes the power maybe, but not that much. And it's certainly how it's been done for, the last 60, 70 years before Quiver. Craig's routine involves the pop-up move, which is a lovely move to use. I suggest, maybe getting Al Snyder's does a lovely routine with a pop-up move with coin magic and so on. It's a move well worth learning. Craig does explains it pretty well, not in a massive amount of detail. The routine he does is quite a classic copper, silver, brass, but some nice visual transpositions, and again with the quiver. No pipe dreams, just good, solid material. And that's really what we're after, isn't it? And then we have Javier from Murphy's, who again is doing something with quiver. He's got a little bit of a time travel plot, and the coin's going backwards and forwards to the purse. Very, very visual, and you end lovely and clean. Very well taught, with the props doing most of the work for you. I mean, this is just something you could pick up and have a lot of fun with straight away. Javier's routine, I would describe it as quite short, sweet, engaging, a lot of magic in a short space of time. It's a great little routine. Well done, Javier. I haven't really seen much of your work before, but this is well worth a worthy addition to this project, and you're holding your head up high against some big names. Then we have Roddy McGee, one of the most creative people from his area of Glasgow, and he has got, again with quiver, again quite a traditional copper, silver, brass routine, and it's very interesting to see how his patter changes and how his routining is different to Craig's and Javier's, despite the props being the same. Very interesting how the different styles, put things together. And that's very interesting part of the project, really, is if you give three people in three different parts of the world with three different performing styles the same props, what they come up with. And it's great because their routines are similar-ish and involve the same props and use quiver, you can pick the bits that you like from each of them and create your own. So you've got this lovely smorgasbord of ideas and sleights and props, and you can just put them all together however you want, really jazz with it, really have some fun and be original. Great stuff. So Roddy's routine, some beautiful routining in it, and again with the quiver. Then you have one of my little heroes, Gary Jones. I've never met Gary, but I really love his work. I love his books, and I love seeing him perform because he's just a worker, and he's a fun worker. He's sort of from back when I first started, and he's still going, and he really knows how to put a smile on people's faces and how to put an amazement on people's faces. And he does a Mark Bendel routine with it. I think it's called All Things Change. I'm not sure where else it's published, but and he again uses the pop-up move, and his All Things Change really sort of fooled me. I was going, is he got 3 or 4 different sets? Is he using something different? Has he got more of these coins than anybody else? So it did surprise me. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. And it's a beautiful, beautiful routine. Hats off to Mark Bendel, and hats off to Gary Jones for showing it to us. One of the fun things about this project is that obviously Matthew's had these people help him, and they've literally sent Matt the videos of them performing with it, and some of the situations in which they're performing, sometimes it's just their front room or their kitchen table. Gary seems to be in some store cupboard. I don't know whether, maybe he's in the cellar of a pub, which is probably quite likely for Gary. It's part of the amusement for me. He seems to be doing it on a box in a storeroom. He then does another routine in a cafe, which is slightly more sensible. And that is a copper, silver, brass routine more or less. I have got Gary's books, and he does do copper, silver, brass as part of his working set, so he knows how to get a lot of magic in a short space of time from one of these sets. And like I say, because this is the poker chip, the washer, and the button, it just pops that little bit more. And yeah, when you open your hand and you've got two things of two different colors, it's just great. It is just great. And both Gary's routines, Mark Bendel's as well. Well done, Mark. Brilliant. The funny thing is, that's not all. No. You then have Mark Elston. He adds another poker chip, a regular poker chip, as an extra coin, shall we say, as an extra object. And again, he uses quiver as well. Again, you can use your pocket if you want. Quiver's just replacing pockets these days. And a beautiful routine, and the added chip, changes a few phases, and also gives you patter options and so on. Patter's not a bad word. Patter isn't a bad word. No, patter's what it is. It's what you say. And that's an interesting point that Mark does, is you can add other objects to this set, and because it's not clamped down to currency, that object could be anything. It doesn't have to be another poker chip or another washer. It could be a dog's toy. I don't know. Anything. Could be a piece of camera equipment, which I seem to have littered around. You have Nick Lawrence, who does a mentalism routine with this set, which is something, again, I hadn't ever considered doing before. When I saw this set, I didn't think, well, you're thinking coin magic, aren't you? You're thinking visual retentions and all of that. You're not thinking mentalism. I'm not sure about some of the handlings of Nick's. I like the plot. I like what he does with it. I like the idea. I think I'm quirking. I think I might quirk it a bit. But yeah, certainly gets you thinking that this isn't a one-trick pony. And again, I've banged on about this, and I'm going to keep banging on about it, because I hear people talking about saying, and it's just copper, silver, brass. What can they possibly add to it? Is it worth changing? And I'm telling you now, the material on this tutorial, and we haven't finished talking about some of the routines, are just worth the 30 quid anyway. If you've got a copper, silver, brass, buy this just for the tutorial. Honestly, it is great. It really is. And then you've got the better props. You're laughing. You really are laughing with this. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting emotional. I haven't got this emotional since I watched Eddie the Eagle in the cinema. Right. And then you've got Sean Goodman. Sean Goodman is another great worker. I love his genetics. He has provided quite a classic copper, silver, brass. Again, his uses his secret savant as a holdout, which if you haven't got, you might struggle with his routine, but you'll probably come up with another way of holding out the coins. Great, teaches you routining, and again teaches you how to talk about which hand things are in without knocking your client or your spectator. You should never be belittling someone, really, unless you've got that persona and they really laugh about it. But few people can get away with that. It takes years of practice in my book, and I certainly don't do it. I like to be warm, certainly warm to start off with, and then I might have a little cheeky go at them. But and Sean's routine, how all of these people talk, and you will know that you can tell someone they get it wrong. It's fine, but again, a lot of the routines don't involve that. And then you've got Paul Roberts, who does some very nice visual transpositions from hand to hand, just in opening your palms and so on. He's I think he's the last one on the tutorial. If I've forgotten someone, which I might well have done, because there's quite a lot of people, I'm sorry. But everyone adds something new. There's something to learn from each of these people. And the routines are so varied. Like I say, you've got a matrix routine. You've got Spellbound. You'll learn some really good coin magic sleights. You've got the pop-up move, and you've got these visual changes that Will Houston teaches. If this doesn't get you into coin magic, then nothing will. Like the pop-up move. If you get that pop-up move, I think I'm going to contribute it to Marno and Al Snyder. You know, that is very versatile, and you could literally suddenly you'll be picking up any coin, and you could do a magic with just that move. You know, so what you learn is terrific. The price is just diabolically good. The price is just, they're giving it away. I can only say because of the manufacturing process and the fact that Matt and Mark must have been so confident with this that they've gone for a vast number to keep the price down. It is amazing value. It is just, I don't know how they've done it. The only thing I can criticize is that this is the card. This has got the link to the tutorial on the back, and it is printed tiny. There you go. I can't say any more. What more can I say? It is absolutely wonderful. Brass Buttons by Matthew Wright and Mark Southworth. And now we have Invisible Edition. Dun, dun, dun. Invisible Edition. Yes, by Ariston. And this is great. This is a lovely, versatile card prop that I can't believe hasn't been made already. It seems so simple, so obvious, but it hasn't. It is a way of adding up to 13 cards to a shuffled deck. So obviously you have the cards handed out. You can have them all lovely shuffled, put back in the box so that they are tamper-proof. You then tip them out of the box, and you know the top 13 cards. The cards can be on the top, the cards can be on the bottom, they can be face up or face down. It's entirely up to you. So you just think about this. You've got color changing deck ideas, you've got mentalism routines, multiple selections. There's so much that can be done with this little box. It is very simply constructed, but very deceptive, very easy to use. The tutorial does teach 2 very simple routines that you can do with it, but I think it's more powerful than what they let on. It's great. It really is a great little thing. It's under £20. I think it's like something like $17.99. It's constructed, so yeah, it's constructed really well. It'll last as long as you're sensible with it. And actually, how it comes packaged, if you haven't got a deck of cards in it, if you're not set up to do the trick, I will just put the packaging back in it, because that keeps it all nice and firm and protects the integrity of the box. I think it's just one of those things that no one's really bothered to do. I don't understand. Why has no one done this before? But well done, Ariston, for actually, you know, getting off your behind and making it. It's the sort of thing that every card person, if you're going to do a poker deal, if you're going to name people's cards and you don't want to do all the memory work or anything else, you know, this is just perfect. $17.99. It's a utility prop that really should have been out there, you know, 30, 40 years ago. It's great. Really great. Great, simple. For $17.99, give it a whirl. Come up with your own routines that require stacks or you know, like I say, you know, yeah, color changing deck. It's great. Absolutely great. Well done, Ariston. The tutorial is nice and thorough. You know, little tips on how to make sure everything works correctly, which is all you really need. And like I say, two simple routines, but you will be flying with this, I'm sure, and just your mind will just explode with all of these wonderful routines that will just come to you as you go, oh my god, I can do this, oh my god, I can do this. It's terrific. Invisible Edition. And last but not least, oh no, even though it's very small, it is oh, it's got no packaging on it. It's Minify by Lord Harry Harrington and Kev G, or Kev G and Lord Harry. I don't know which way round they want it to be. This took me by surprise. So it is, you have a card, you have a card selected, it gets lost in the deck, and you ask the person some questions, whether it was a black card, a red card, whatever. They can lie, they can tell the truth. You then ask them if it's a small card. They say whatever they say, it doesn't really matter. You know, if it's, you want them, well, it doesn't, no, you don't, it doesn't really matter what they say. You then give the card a flick, and out of the end of the deck, one card protrudes. You then ask them to pull it out, and it is a titchy mini card. Let me just, it's not in here, you see, it's in here because I've been playing with it. It's not in that deck. Where is, which deck is in? It's in this deck. It's in here. So what is really nice is that they can shuffle. So these cards are given out. The spectator can shuffle them as much as they want. And all you have to do is a little, you can see that. I don't like it coming out too much. And they pull it out, and that will be their selection. It's a lovely little thing. This bit, when they pull it out, gets a massive laugh, a massive reaction. The fact it's their card is almost overlooked. Okay, do you want to give them a shuffle?
Yeah.
He's good, isn't he? Oh, very good. It's not bad. Right.
Very smooth.
Very smooth. So,
Good.
okay, do you just I'm going to run my thumb down the top and just say stop wherever you like.
Okay. Stop.
Get that card. Remember that card?
Yep.
Got that card. You shuffled them anyway.
I did.
Yeah, God. So it could be any card. Now, think of your card. Picture your card. Look at me, Julian. Okay, you can lie or tell the truth. But was it a red card?
Yes.
Was it a small card?
Yes.
A small card? Well, that should be quite easy then. Just give it a riffle. Oh, you see that one card that's made itself appear? Julie, just grab that card for me. You said it was a small card, didn't you, Julie?
I did.
There you go. What card was it? It's big laughs. It's just great fun. Which I guess possibly sums up, Lord Harry's approach to magic. It's great fun, quirky little routine. What can I say? It originates from, I think Lord Harry says he saw it first from Diamond Jim Tyler, and Lord Harry has been doing a gimmickless version for quite a while, and the gimmickless version is also taught at the end of this tutorial. And that's well worth knowing. Also, if you've got some mini cards, bicycle mini cards, you can change the selection and so on. And that's not difficult by any stretch of the imagination. But what I really, really like about, and I think Kev G probably suggested this gimmick, is that you hand the cards to the spectator to shuffle before they have a card selected. You can then have the card selected. They can then shuffle again, and you can then find their card. You can then do the mini card reveal. So yeah, there's like the possibility of that card sort of being in the deck from the start is sort of eliminated. I don't know. It's just it's really nice. It's really nice. It's surprisingly strong magic. It's a lot of fun to perform, and I've been having a whale of a time with it. I haven't quite decided. Part of me likes you'll play with this, but part of me likes shooting it across the table at them. Part of me likes it being just a little bit they've got to pull out. I've been going with just this pulling out bit because it can go in someone's drink or someone's food, so it's a bit risky having it flying around. But when they pull that out and it stops there, they just start rocking with laughter. I don't know if it's the questions about it or whatever. But yeah, and Lord Harry's teaching, his tutorial is really thorough. So Kev G teaches the mechanics of this with the gimmick, and then Lord Harry teaches a little bit at the end, and the gimmickless version. Both add a lot to the project, but Lord Harry also sort of talks. Interestingly, he talks about how to have a deck handed back to you, which is something that perhaps a lot of people is overlooked as to whether or not you hold out your hand for them to put it in your hand, whether you say, "Can I take those back?" Which is a great little. I love it when these little things are included. Anyhow, time's getting away from us. That is Minify. That is Minify. It is $23.99. It is lovely. So that's it for this week. I hope you've all had a terrific show. I hope you're all ready for the coronation. You're all suited, booted, and you've been training your flag waving arm all week. Good luck. I shall see you all next week. This time next week. Until then, take care.